we've just been having a fantastic panel on financing solutions for net zero, and we're going to reflect on the panel discussion. So, Irene, what were your reflections on the discussion we've just had?
It was a fantastic panel, and I think we agreed on a lot of things. So the most important one, everybody saw the need of better convergence around the globe on the different level of standards. So what do we want to see from banks on transition plans? What do we want to see from companies? What do we want to see from policies, from state actors to make sure that we transition? One challenge, I would see, the biggest challenge is the inclusiveness. I think Richard brought that in from the UNCTAD perspective. How do you make sure that the level of SMEs around the globe, or all levels of economy, will be taken on board on this?
Yeah, it was interesting how I think he said 80% of the economic activity in emerging markets, but of course in many, is from SMEs. And a lot of the time the finance discussion deals with large corporations, large financial institutions, and the reporting frameworks and the transparency required to make those markets work and to supervise them, of course. And then we're thinking, how do we make those frameworks usable by SMEs and the emerging economy? It is quite a challenge, but it's one we're going to have to take on, I think, if we're going to work through this development finance issue.
Yes, and I like it that you say that we have to take it on, because I think we still have to proceed with this work to make sure that we keep advancing and think more together. Okay, what do we want to see in net zero commitments? How does it translate? What kind of targets? How does all the systems talk to each other? But at the same time also look into, okay, do we take all levels of the economy on board? And how do you make the flexibility for jurisdictions to tag on and to be on board?
Yeah, that's right. And Tom Taylor from Aviva introduced an interesting idea when he was talking about NDCs as transition plans. And it got to that more practical country by country implementation context, which I think is what the financial community is really trying to understand. What are the opportunities that will arise as economies transition? What are the risks that need to be managed? And so it might be that that idea provides a framework that we can identify which sectors have the opportunity, which types of companies, and what types of transparency and reporting and information needs that the global financial system is going to have to help support in those contexts. So what was your thoughts on the NDC as the transition plan framework idea?
I think that's a very good idea, because we need to have better, to guide the economies into net zero, you need to have clarity from policymakers, because they still have the best tools at hand to say, okay, this is what we want to achieve with our economy, and they guide us. I don't think any car manufacturer will get a loan in Europe now to build a combustion engine car factory at the moment, but probably for electric cars, right? So that's, I think, is just an example of like what a policy could take. So if a government sets, okay, this is my commitment to net zero, and this is how I'm going to do it, and this is how I'm going to drill it down. These are the aspects in the economy that I need to change. We heard the triple commitment of renewables by 2030 yesterday. I think there also, but how are we going to do it? And how do we have to make sure that the grid is able to deal with all those things? So to have all these jurisdictions translating their commitments into like, how do you want to guide your economy and which direction you want to go? Not only for developed, but also for emerging economies that really could channel the flows into the right direction.
Yeah, that's interesting. And so there's that discussion on countries reflecting on how they want their economies to go. And Eric from UNEP FI raised some interesting examples of lots of different alliances coming together to discuss the challenges around economic transition. And it kind of goes to your points around inclusiveness in a way. Do you think we have enough of the right collaborative spaces where this dialogue can occur, or do you think there's a bit more that we need to do?
I think we need to do more on the emerging market sides.
Yeah.
Because we're still talking a lot to developed economies, talking for myself, and also I think the worlds are too far apart still. And still at COP here, we're all here, So let's use the opportunity to at least try to connect and see how we can make it better and learn from each other where the struggles sit, where the opportunities lie, and see how we can go there.
Yeah, we need to bring these worlds together, don't we? We know we need the private finance to play a role in transition, but we know the destinations that need the financing, we're going to have to respond to some of the contexts that they're dealing with.
And we shouldn't leave it to the 1 year COP event to meet.
More regular exchange on the policy frameworks for net zero and the role of private finance. So that's the key message. And as we sum up, we just want to say thanks to the Spanish team who have provided a lovely venue and moment for our event this morning. Thanks very much.
Thanks a lot.